Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Austin of the Lone Few. Today, I want to talk about war in Call of Duty World War II. So, the war game mode is really the only major new game mode that they added in the game. And I realized that I kind of glossed upon it, and I don't even think I mentioned it actually in my How to Fix World War II video, in which I kind of complained that there weren't enough game modes. And the reason for that is because war feels like it's its own entity. It feels like it takes place outside of the regular multiplayer with kill confirmed and team deathmatch and domination and all that. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I've been playing almost nothing but war this entire past double XP weekend. And really, my only complaint about the game mode is that there isn't enough maps. You know, there's 3 of them in total, and it feels like I'm just getting sick of them already. You know, I'm starting to fall into that monotony of just, you know, capture the bunker, then build the bridge, then blow up the bomb, then escort the tank, then defend all of those, and then we swap into Operation Neptune, where I run up to the beach, die a whole bunch, and then eventually we capture the points. Then we destroy the comms equipment and the flak guns. Boom, done. You know, I feel like there isn't enough variety there, and it's speculated right now that the first DLC pack and all the DLC packs afterwards will include new war maps, and I think that's kind of widely accepted that that's going to happen, which I think is great. But I want to address how I think war could be made better. How we can take it from this already really fun game and kind of try to cut out some of the monotony that I feel like I at least have been falling into with this game mode. And I mean, the first thing, of course, is add more maps, right? There's only 3 maps in this, and it seems like maps in general, you know, in this entire game has been a subject of complaint, what with there only being 9 actual multiplayer maps, which, by the way, kind of a side note, one thing that I saw on Reddit and that I think I love the idea of is I feel like they should have taken the war maps and just like carved out a little bit of like the middle area and just, you know, maybe change a couple lanes around and push them into actual multiplayer as their own maps. I feel like that's a very simple thing to do. Just take, you know, Operation Neptune and just cut out the beach portion, so it's just from bunker to flak guns, and then maybe, you know, add another lane for like that choke point right between the bunker and the comms equipment, and you'll have this really nice kind of almost King of the Hill maybe map with, you know, the comm equipment room right there in the middle, where of course there wouldn't be comm equipment, but you know, you have that entire map. It's kind of laid out already in this kind of 3-lane infrastructure. Same thing with, you know, Operation Breakout. I feel like you can take everything from the bridge onto the tank, and while it would be a decently sized map, there's a lot of stuff there that I feel like just goes to a waste because you're running past it so fast to get to the next objective half the time. And then same thing with Griffin. I feel like you could take literally just the gas section where you're just in that kind of almost plays like a big circle. I feel like that kind of map is really missing in this game. Something that there's just like a big center area, which is a death zone, and there's lanes all, you know, surrounding it in a big circle as opposed to, you know, like lanes or anything like that. And I don't know, it would throw some variety into it. Of course, you know, the first 2 maps I mentioned would be rather large, and so we could actually play some ground war on these maps maybe. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like that would be a really good way of appeasing to everyone and also getting some new maps out of it without really doing too much work, right? I don't know, but that's neither here nor there. Today I'm actually talking about straight up war. So, how do we make war better? One thing that I really like, I'm a huge fan of Rainbow Six. You know, new operators are coming out this weekend, or next week actually, and one thing that, especially like in their terrorist hunt, which is a lot of the times what I compare this to, because there's, you know, 5 or 6 of you going up against a lot of the time what seems like endless enemies, even though obviously there are 6 of them because they don't have respawn timers, but you do. It feels almost like you're facing an entire army, which I guess is the point, right? And one thing that Rainbow Six does is, while you are playing on the same map, you know, every time, or, you know, whatever map that you choose, it will randomly generate, you know, where certain barriers are. Sometimes certain pathways are closed off and others are opened. Barbed wire will be placed down on the ground. You know, there'll be mines in specific locations. So that while you are playing the same map, every time that you load into the map, you have to change up your strategy a little bit. You know, you have to figure out, okay, this one's blocked, so I got to run through here. This is a good vantage point. Okay, so they armored up the ceiling, so I can't drop through the ceiling. Maybe I come up through the basement instead. Small variations like that. And I feel like that can easily shift over to war. Whereas right now you have all of these walls that you can build on these turrets that you can hop on. That what if we just, instead of having those 2 walls in, Operation Breakout, the very first point, maybe instead of being able to build up those 2 walls, one of them gets replaced by a window one time, and this time now you can barrier up the big main door, and then the only open door is the one around the side. Or maybe during the bridge section, what if there are 3 locations where you could be prompted to build the bridge, effectively changing the sight lines? Because right now, especially with the bridge portion, it seems like everyone just rushes to their favorite sniper spot and sits down and waits for someone else to either build the bridge or to try building the bridge and then, of course, get sniped down. Small stuff that just throw a wrench in it to where every game is a little bit different. Even, like, the tank, it can go a different direction, even. In Operation Neptune, you can change the barbed wire and place them in different areas so that the routes are always different. And, of course, eventually you're going to play the same, variation twice, because there's not that many variations, but it's way better than a total of 1, And that idea of variations is something else that I want to see more of in the, in newer war maps. Because as of right now, it seems like all 3 that we have kind of start and end with the same thing. They start with, oh, we have to capture this bunker or bunkers, or we have to escort the tank, at the beginning or end, or both in some cases, like Griffin. And then we have one kind of in the middle that is a little bit different, like building the bridge, or getting the gas cans, or destroying the comms equipment. So that got me thinking of, well, what other kind of objectives can we have? Because we've done the tank thing to death, and of course, capturing bunkers, it seems like every single war map has at least one point where you just have to stand in an area and clear out all enemies, right? One thing I'd like to see more of is the idea of, say, a flamethrower or some kind of special weapon or special item is dropped on the map and you have to take that and do something specific with it. The idea that I have is the flamethrowers that, fall from the sky and you have to pick up and use, maybe you have to use specifically a flamethrower to burn out some foliage so you can progress through the map. And then, of course, you're going to have problems of like, okay, well, some asshole's just going to get the flamethrower and start killing people with it, and they're not going to play the objective. Which is a real concern that, they would have to somehow balance away. Maybe they drop down 3 flamethrowers. Maybe it's on a timer, so when you pick it up, you have 30 seconds to get over to that place and burn the thing down. Or maybe once you pick it up, now there's a giant reticle on your head, as if you just picked up the gas can. Except here you have to go and actually inflict damage to do things. Because that was one thing that I really liked about the comms equipment bit of Neptune, in that you had to actually, shoot and destroy these computers, these servers. And I wish that more of these maps were geared towards that kind of gameplay rather than go and sit in a bunker for X amount of minutes. I'd also like to see something that, a portion of the map maybe is kill-based. So, for instance, when you get to, maybe the bridge section on, Operation Breakout, instead of having to build a bridge, it's just first team to get to 50 kills right now will advance. As if, the allies have to just thin out the massive, horde that is the Axis coming at them right now. As if they have to dig in and just kill everything. Or even expanding on that, I think it'd be really cool if, you have, 6 players on Axis. If during a portion of this, you have to get the plans, quote-unquote, from, the Axis. I don't know what kind of plans you would need, figure that part out later, I guess. Or maybe a map. And so a specific Axis player lights up. He's the guy who the allies have to kill. And he's the guy who the Axis members have to defend at this point. And so it's this weird, like headhunter sort of thing where you're trying to get to and kill this one guy. Everyone else is trying to defend him. And then, of course, the entire, bit wouldn't be one person, because I'm sure that would, last about 30 seconds. So maybe make, 10 of them, like the comms equipment, where you have to kill specific players in a, specific pattern, a specific way in order to, get all the intel in order to move on. I'd also like to see other kill streaks in those care packages that come down, the flamethrowers. I think it'd be interesting if there were like mortars, just something to kill from afar. I'd also like to see maybe points where the action dies down a little bit, where maybe you know, it isn't the best idea to run in guns a-blazing, where suddenly, you know, you have to go stealthy a little. You got to swap to a sniper. I'm thinking that snowy map in MW2, I can't remember the name of it, or the snowy mission, rather, of the campaign, where you're just, you know, you're with Price and you're just crawling through stuff. I would love to see something like that, where like maybe, you know, you get to a point where it's just a field of landmines and like there are guns going off overhead and you have to stealthily get through without alerting those mines or alerting those turrets. And I guess turrets really wouldn't make much sense in, you know, the context of this game. Well, actually, no, they didn't have to be automatic. They can have AI characters on them or something. And then the Axis members are, of course, also there with sniper rifles trying to, you know, thin the herd, trying to stop them from getting to their area. There's also a lot of stuff from the campaign that I don't entirely know how we could work into war, but at this point I'm just kind of thinking out loud. One of my biggest complaints about the campaign was it felt very gimmicky. Like, there was an entire mission with tanks that, you know, you played as a tank and you killed two other tanks and then you just never saw that again. And the same exact thing happened with the plane. It was just kind of this weird aside where you just played as a plane and you got in a bunch of dogfights and stuff. I think that would be kind of interesting if somehow it was incorporated into war. Like, if maybe there was a point where, you know, you got to a specific stage and then you stopped and it was like, oh my god, air support's coming in, and then just all 6 of your characters, instead of playing, you know, boots on the ground people, they just went up and now you're fighting planes, and now it's, you know, get X amount of kills on the other team in order to clear the sky so the foot soldiers can advance, where, you know, then you're brought out of those people's heads back into your own actual characters and progress even further. Something like that I think would be really, really cool. I also like the idea of like there being launchers around the map that you have to pick up in order to, you know, shoot down a specific plane or something. And of course one team has to do that and the other team has to stop them from getting to those launchers. You know, small stuff like that literally takes campaign objectives and just makes them multiplayer. That's really what I enjoy about war, and I think that it's great, it's fantastic, but I feel like it's not quite enough. I don't know if that's really the right word. I should say the next, you know, 4 of these war maps, considering these are 3, if the next 4 of these war maps are only a remix of these other objectives, I feel like it's going to get very, very stale very, very quickly. And I don't want to see it get very stale very quickly, because I like this game mode. I really, really do. It just gets very, very monotonous after, you know, a couple of playthroughs. So, anyway, what do you guys think about War Mode? What do you think that they could add in future DLCs that would make it better? That would be great. What do you want to see in future War DLC is probably the better question, or the better worded question. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And I think that's about where I'm going to end it. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that jazz. Do whatever it is that kids do nowadays. And I will see you guys when I see you guys. So see you guys. Peace.